here we go. This is break 720, the Shannon break. The Shannon break, the 2020-21 Donruss basketball hobby. Break 720. Let's see how many times we're going to randomize it. 12 times. Boom. There we go. We will get those teams, or those teams are loaded. We'll let them run through as I open this box. Just a casual 30 cards per pack in this break. John, this might be one of those where you're going to want to sort as I open. It's 30 cards per pack. That's gonna add up quick right there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have Karis Lever of the Nets, followed up by Derek White of the Spurs, Duncan Robinson of the Heat, DeAndre Hunter of the Hawks, Matthew Dellavedova of the Cavs, Bobby Portis of the Knicks, Tyler Hero of the Heat, Jeff Green of the Rockets, Bryn Forbes of the Spurs, followed by Lou Williams of the Clippers, Dwayne Bacon of the Hornets, Thon Maker of the Pistons, Langston Galloway of the Pistons, Markelle Fultz of the Magic, CJ McCollum of the Trailblazers, John Wall of the Wizards, Nikola Jokic, Mr. MVP himself, of the Denver Nuggets. Following up the filler, we have a zero gravity Julius Irving. Zero gravity Julius Irving of the Philadelphia 76ers. Then we have a Net Marvels Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans going to Eric. Team. Followed by a Craftsman Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, a zero gravity Blake Griffin of the Detroit Pistons, a Net Marvels Rui Hachimura of the Washington Wizards to Sean, followed by a Drazen Petrovic Retro Series of the Portland Trailblazers going to Sean. Then we have a Saban Lee rated rookie of the Detroit Pistons. Saban Lee of the Detroit Pistons right there. And that is going to be heading to Ben. Followed up by a Tyler Bay of the Dallas Mavericks. Tyler Bay of the Mavs rated rookie. Terrell Terry rated rookie of the Mavs as well. Both of those going to Sean. Then we have Peyton Pritchard of the Boston Celtics heading to Sean, followed up by Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers going to Sean, and Josh Green of the Dallas Mavericks to Sean. And our first auto is going to be a Tyrese Maxey red rated rookie, and not numbered, but that, oh yes it is. It is 10 out of 49 of the Philadelphia 76ers going to Sean. On to our second pack in this break. Wow. When you go through the Element 5 carders and then you dive into one of these, it is quite the difference. Jaylen Brown of the Celtics, Wesley Matthews of the Bucks, followed up by Marquise Chris of the Warriors, Danilo Gallinari of the Thunder, Brook Lopez of the Bucks, Doug McDermott of the Pacers, Miles Turner of the Pacers, Mike Conley of the Jazz, Paul Millsap of the Nuggets, Davis Bertans of the Wizards, Otto Porter of the Bulls, Robert Covington of the Rockets, James Harden of the Rockets, Kemba Walker of the Celtics, Jarrett Culver of the Timberwolves, Domantas Sabonis of the Pacers, Josh Hart of the Pelicans, Tim Hardaway of the Mavs, a retro series Shaquille O'Neal of the Lakers going to Jake, followed up by a crunch time Rui Hachimura of the Wizards and a crunch time Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks, followed up by a craftsman James Harden of the Houston Rockets, followed by a retro series Chris Webber. Then we have a Net Marvels Luka of the Dallas Mavericks heading to Sean. Followed up by some rated rookies. Kira Lewis Jr. of the New Orleans Pelicans to Eric. Jalen Smith of the Phoenix Suns going to Sean. Oh, he came in like a mellow ball. Going to Jake right there with the mellow ball base. Followed that up by Cassius Stanley of the Indiana Pacers heading to Joseph. Then we have Jameis Ramsey of the Sacramento Kings going to Ben, and Jordan Nora of the Milwaukee Bucks. Jordan Nora of the Bucks headed to Shannon. On to our second pack in this one. Mark Gasol of the Raptors, Derek Jones of the Heat, Juan Hernangomez of the Mavs, followed by Andre Drummond of the Cavs, Evan Fournier of the Magic, Rui Hachimura of the Wizards, Kevin Porter of the Cavs, Rudy Gobert of the Jazz, Eric Bledsoe of the Bucks, followed by Pascal Siakam of the Raptors, Dante DiVincenzo of the Bucks, Russell Westbrook of the Rockets, Chris Paul of the Thunder, Dorian Finney-Smith of the Mavs, Bojan Bogdanovic of the Jazz, Kevin Durant of the Brooklyn Nets, Josh Jackson of the Grizzlies, Jordan Clarkson of the Jazz, and Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors. And now we have the Zion Williamson of the Pelicans headed to Eric. The Retro Series Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz going to Eric as well. Retro Series Amari Stoudemire of the Phoenix Suns going to Sean. Amari Stoudemire, probably my favorite basketball player of all time. The Crunch Time James Harden of the Houston Rockets to Ben, followed by our rookies. This one is the rookies, Obi Toppin of the New York Knicks going to Sean. Then we have a Zero Gravity Sean Kemp of the Seattle Supersonics, now the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that's going to Sean. And now into our rated rookies. We have Theo Maledon of the Thunder, Malachi Flynn of the Raptors, RJ Hampton of the Denver Nuggets, followed up by Alexei Pokusevsky of the Thunder, Isaiah Stewart of the Detroit Pistons, Isaiah Stewart from right here in Rochester, and then Devin Vassell of the San Antonio Spurs heading to Shannon. Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz, Chris Middleton of the Bucks, Malcolm Brogdon of the Pacers, D'Angelo Russell of the Timberwolves, followed by Mo Bamba of the Magic, Anthony Davis of the Lakers, Malik Beasley of the Timberwolves, Wendell Carter of the Bulls, Jared Allen of the Nets, Seth Curry of the Mavs, Dylan Brooks of the Grizzlies, Christian Wood of the Pistons, PJ Washington of the Hornets, LaMarcus Aldridge of the Spurs, Bismack Biyombo of the Hornets, Aaron Baines of the Suns, followed up by Kyrie Irving of the Nets, Jaren Jackson of the Grizzlies. Then we have the Net Marvels, Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors, a Retro Series Allen Iverson of the 76ers, Trae Young Net Marvels of the Atlanta Hawks, followed up by a Retro Series David Robinson of the Spurs. Then we have a Crunch Time Pascal Siakam, followed by a Craftsman Joel Embiid, of the 76ers. Here we go. We have Obi Toppin of the Knicks, followed by an Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves going to Joe. Then we have Kenyon Martin Jr. of the Houston Rockets heading to Ben, followed by Elijah Hughes of the Utah Jazz going to Eric, Robert Woodard II of the Sacramento Kings going to Ben, and then Vernon Carey Jr. of the Hornets going to Jake. And we're on to the 5th pack. Lonnie Walker, the 4th, followed by Joe Ingles, Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Jay Crowder, followed up by Troy Brown of the Wizards, Nemanja Bjelica, Thomas Bryant of the Wizards, Harry Giles of the Kings, Matisse Thybulle of the 76ers, DeAndre Ayton of the Suns, Patty Mills of the Spurs, Norman Powell of the Raptors, Kelly Oubre of the Suns, Dwight Howard of the Lakers, Karl Anthony Towns of the Timberwolves, Colin Sexton of the Cavs, and Josh Richardson of the 76ers. And now we have a crunch time RJ Barrett of the Knicks, followed up by a Craftsman Anthony Davis of the Lakers, a Retro Series Oscar Robinson of the Milwaukee Bucks, followed by a Netmarbles Kawhi Leonard, followed by Jerry West of the Lakers with that Retro Series right there, and a crunch time Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls. Alrighty, these rated rookies, we have Udoka Azubuike of the Jazz going to Eric, followed up by Denny Avdija of the Washington Wizards to Sean, Onika Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks going to Phil, followed by Grant Riller of the Charlotte Hornets going to Jake, and CJ Ellaby of the Trailblazers heading to Sean. Then we have Nico Mannion of the Golden State Warriors going to Sean as well. Oh my God. 150 cards down. On to pack number 6. Daniel House of the Rockets, Drew Holiday of the Pelicans, Spencer Dinwiddie of the Nets, Shai Gilgeous of the Thunder, Trae Young of the Hawks, Carmelo Anthony of the Trailblazers, followed by Condavious Caldwell-Pope of the Lakers, Chris Dunn of the Bulls, Nerlens Noel of the Thunder, followed by J.J. Redick of the Pelicans, James Johnson of the Timberwolves, Grant Williams of the Celtics, Andrew Wiggins of the Warriors, Kevin Love of the Cavs, Lonzo Ball of the Pelicans, Gary Harris of the Denver Nuggets, Derrick Rose of the Pistons, followed up by Steven Adams of the Thunder. We have a filler right there, and underneath that filler, we are going to have a zero gravity Zach LaVine, followed up by a Giannis Netmarbles. Then we have a Craftsman Russell Westbrook, followed by a zero gravity Donovan Mitchell of the Jazz, a Netmarbles Zach LaVine of the Chicago Bulls, then a Retro Series Kevin Garnett of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now we're diving back into some more rookies. We have Kenyon Martin Jr. of the Houston Rockets, followed by Elijah Hughes of the Utah Jazz, Robert Woodard II of the Sacramento Kings, followed up by Vernon Carey Jr. of the Charlotte Hornets, Udoka Azubuike of the Utah Jazz, and Denny Avdija of the Washington Wizards. 4 packs left in this break. Just a casual 30 card a pack break right here. Ja Morant of the Grizzlies, Landry Shamet of the Clippers, Bogdan Bogdanovic of the Kings, Buddy Hield of the Kings, Gordon Hayward of the Celtics, Bradley Beal of the Wizards, Keldon Johnson of the Spurs, followed by Ben Simmons of the 76ers, Ivica Zubac of the Clippers, Steph Curry of Golden State, Mikal Bridges of the Suns, Darius Garland of the Cavs, Bam Adebayo of the Heat, Joel Embiid of the Sixers, Damian Lillard of the Trailblazers, Shake Milton of the 76ers, and Jackson Hayes of the Pelicans. And it looks like we're going to have an auto, or a Jersey Kings, and that is Mr. Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby of the Atlanta Hawks headed to Phil. Little throwback right there. Followed up by a Retro Series Moses Malone. Retro Series Moses Malone. Then we have a Crunch Time Giannis of the Milwaukee Bucks, followed by a Crunch Time Joel Embiid of the 76ers, a Craftsman Ben Simmons of the 76ers, a Retro Series Patrick Ewing of the Knicks, and then a Kyrie Irving Net Marvels of the Brooklyn Nets. Followed by Onika Okongwu of the Atlanta Hawks going to Phil. Then we have Grant Riller of the Charlotte Hornets headed to Jake. CJ Ellaby of the Portland Trailblazers going to Sean. Followed by Nico Mannion of the Golden State Warriors heading to Sean as well. Followed up by Xavier Tillman of the Memphis Grizzlies going to Shannon. And Desmond Bane of the Grizzlies as well heading to Shannon. Already 3 packs left in this break. Miles Bridges of the Hornets, Cody White of the Bulls, Serge Ibaka of the Raptors, Marcus Morris of the Clippers, Harrison Barnes of the Kings, Shabazz Napier of the Wizards, Will Barton of the Nuggets, Victor Oladipo of the Pacers, followed up by Clint Capella of the Hawks, Jonas Valanciunas of the Grizzlies. Then we have DeMar DeRozan of the Spurs, Torrey Craig of the Nuggets, Michael Porter of the Nuggets, Dennis Schroeder of the Thunder, Julius Randle of the Knicks, Alex Caruso of the Lakers, Paul George of the Clippers, Luka Doncic of the Mavs. And now we have our Craftsman LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers, followed by a retro series in Fernie Hardaway of the Orlando Magic, a Tim Duncan of the Spurs, followed by Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets going to Steven. Then we have the rookies, LaMelo Ball. He came in like a mellow ball, and that is going to Jake. Right there, nice LaMelo hit, followed by a zero gravity Anthony Davis. And now we're diving into our rated rookies. We have Emmanuel Quickley of the Knicks, Zeke Naji of the Denver Nuggets, Sadiq Bey of the Detroit Pistons, followed by Aaron Naismith of the Boston Celtics. Aaron Naismith of the Boston Celtics. Then we have Killian Hayes of the Detroit Pistons. Killian Hayes of the Detroit Pistons heading to Ben, and Patrick Williams of the Bulls going to Sean. Kendrick Nunn of the Heat, Kyle Kuzma of the Lakers, Jimmy Butler of the Heat, Zion of the Pelicans, TJ Warren of the Pacers, Draymond Green of the Warriors, Taurean Prince of the Nets, Tobias Harris of the 76ers, Jonathan Isaac of the Magic, followed up by Marcus Smart of the Celtics, Enes Kanter of the Celtics. Then we have an OG Anunoby of the Raptors, Fred VanVleet of the Raptors, Eric Paschall of the Warriors, Aaron Gordon of the Maverick, Kevin Huerter of the Hawks, Detroit Pistons, Sekou Doumbouya, and Jamal Murray of the Golden State Warriors. Then we have the Net Marvels, Russell Westbrook of the Houston Rockets, followed by a retro series, Pete Maravich of the Atlanta Hawks, the Net Marvels, LeBron James of the Lakers, a retro series, Bill Russell of the Celtics, a crunch time, Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies, and then a Craftsman, Giannis of the Milwaukee Bucks. And now into the rated rookies. And we're going to have Cassius Winston of the Wizards, followed by going to Sean, followed by Nick Richards of the Charlotte Hornets going to Jake, Trey Jones of the San Antonio Spurs going to Shannon, Daniel Aturo of the Los Angeles Clippers going to Sean, Jaden McDaniels of the Timberwolves headed to Joseph, and then Caleb Martin of the Charlotte Hornets going to Jake. Jordan Poole of the Warriors, Luke Kennard of the Pistons, RJ Barrett of the Knicks, Joe Harrison of the Nets, Lauri Markkanen of the Bulls, Kawhi Leonard of the Clippers, Giannis of the Bucks, Mitchell Robinson of the Knicks, Cam Reddish of the Hawks, followed up by John Collins of the Hawks, LeBron James of the Lakers, Blake Griffin of the Pistons, followed up by Ricky Rubio of the Suns, Terrence Ross of the Magic, Kristaps of the Mavs, Hassan Whiteside of Portland, Marvin Bagley of the Kings, and Goran Dragic of the Heat. a crunch time LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers going to Jake, followed by the rookies James Weissman of the Golden State Warriors headed to Sean, followed up by a retro series Dennis Rodman of the Bulls, Ben Simmons of the Net Marvels, Ben Simmons of the 76ers, a Paul Pierce retro series of the Celtics, followed by a Zion Williamson crunch time of the New Orleans Pelicans. And then our rookies, we have Precious Achiuwa of the Miami Heat going to Ben, followed up by Cole Anthony of the Orlando Magic heading to Steven. Tyrese Halliburton of the Sacramento Kings going to Ben. Isaac Okoro of the Cavaliers going to Shannon. Then we have James Weissman of the Golden State Warriors going to Sean. And Skylar Mays of the Atlanta Hawks going to Phil. Alrighty, let's run these rookies down, of which there is quite a few. Skylar Mays of the Hawks, James Weissman of the Golden State Warriors, Isaac Okoro of the Cavs, Tyrese Halliburton of the Kings, Cole Anthony of the Magic, Precious Achiuwa of the Miami Heat, the James Weissman of the Golden State Warriors, Caleb Martin of the Hornets, Jaden McDaniels of the Timberwolves, Daniel Oturu of the Clippers, Trey Jones of the Spurs, Nick Richard of the Hornets, Cassius Winston of the Wizards, Patrick Williams of the Bulls, Killian Hayes of the Pistons, Aaron Naismith of the Celtics, Sadiq Bey of the Pistons, Zeke Naji of the Nuggets, Emmanuel Quickley of the Knicks, Desmond Bane of the Grizzlies, Xavier Tillman of the Grizzlies, Nico Mannion of the Golden State Warriors, CJ Elleby of the Trailblazers, Grant Riller of the Hornets, and Onika Okongwu of the Hawks. Followed up by Denny Avadaya of the Wizards, Udoka Azubuike of the Jazz, Vernon Carey Jr. of the Hornets, Robert Woodard II of the Kings, Elijah Hughes of the Jazz, Kenyon Martin of the Houston Rockets, Nico Mannion of Golden State, CJ Elleby of the Trailblazers, Grant Riller of the Hornets, Onika Okongwu of the Hawks, Denny Avadaya of the Wizards, Udoka Azubuike of the Jazz, Vernon Carey Jr. of the Hornets, Robert Woodard of the Kings, Elijah Hughes of the Jazz, Kenyon Martin Jr. of the Rockets, Obi Toppin of the Knicks, Devin Vassell of the Spurs, Isaiah Stewart of the Detroit Pistons, Oleksiy Pokusevski of the Thunder, RJ Hampton of the Nuggets, Malachi Flynn of the Raptors, Theo Maledon of the Thunder, the rookies Obi Toppin of the Knicks, Jordan Nora of the Bucks, Jameis Ramsey of the Kings, Cassius Stanley of the Pacers, Jalen Smith of the Suns, Kira Lewis Jr. of the Pelicans, Josh Green of the Mavs, Tyrese Maxey of the 76ers, Peyton Pritchard of the Celtics, Terrell Terry of the Mavs, Tyler Bay of the Mavs, and Saban Lee of the Pistons. And now on to the featured cards. We have the Anthony Edwards base, the LaMelo Ball base, and then the Came In Like a Mellow Ball, the Rookies edition. Both those LaMelo Balls going to Jake, and Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves going to Joe. And then we have our Jersey Kings, Mike Bibby of the Hawks, and then a Tyrese Maxey 10 out of 49 auto of the 76ers. The 76ers going to Sean, and a Mike Bibby of the Atlanta Hawks to Phil. And with that, we are done with Shannon's break number 720. We will be right back from BT Field with All Elements Card Random.